Today, Louis Vuitton is a $30 billion titan of exclusive luxury. To maintain its aura of absolute scarcity, the company has even resorted to destroying its own unsold merchandise. But the origins of that interlocking logo have nothing to do with high society. In the early 19th century, Louis Vuitton was an illiterate, impoverished farm boy growing up in rural France. At 13, following the death of his mother and facing an abusive stepmother, he ran away. He set out for Paris on foot, a journey of nearly 300 miles. The trek took him 3 years. He slept in the dirt in the woods, surviving by trading manual labor for food, and he slowly picked up the trades of working with wood, metal, and canvas from local craftsmen. The brand that now defines elite excess was forged by a teenager trying to avoid starvation. Tracing that survival instinct reveals how a desperate run from poverty became the blueprint for a global fashion conglomerate. When he finally reached a rapidly industrializing Paris, Louis secured an apprenticeship making and packing boxes for the wealthy class, who were just beginning to travel by railway. The standard luggage of the era was terribly suited for trains. Trunks were made of heavy leather and featured dome tops designed to let rain slide off. Because of that curve, porters couldn't stack them in cargo holds. Drawing on the survival skills he learned on the road, Louis proposed a practical solution. He stripped away the heavy leather, replaced it with a lighter, highly durable, water-resistant canvas. Because the canvas was naturally water-resistant, the trunks could be built with flat tops. Suddenly, luggage could be easily stacked and organized, solving the primary logistical headache of train travel. Elite travelers, including the Empress of France, instantly recognized the efficiency. They abandoned their old domed trunks for Louis's flat design, elevating him from a simple packer to an independent, highly sought-after craftsman. Demand surged far beyond the borders of his home country, forcing the company to expand internationally and open a sprawling storefront outside of France on London's Oxford Street. Louis entered the luxury market by solving a logistics problem, prioritizing function over specific artistic intent. After Louis passed away, his son Georges took over the business, immediately facing a new threat. Criminals were actively targeting wealthy train passengers and breaking into their easily recognizable flat trunks. Georges engineered a multi-pin tumbler lock. The system required every pin to be perfectly aligned to open, making it so secure that Georges publicly challenged the famous escape artist Harry Houdini to break out of it. Then came a threat from inside their own industry. Rival box makers flooded the market with cheap, inferior knockoffs of the canvas trunk. To protect their margins, Georges designed a highly complex floral pattern featuring his father's initials. The famous LV monogram was created strictly as a precise, labor-intensive barrier to thwart copycats. But the ultimate test of the family's survival arrived with the outbreak of the Second World War, falling on the shoulders of the third generation, Gaston Vuitton. When German forces occupied France, many local businesses and rival fashion houses shut their doors in protest. The Vuittons, however, allegedly chose to collaborate with the Nazi puppet regime. By agreeing to manufacture commemorative propaganda busts for the regime, Louis Vuitton was permitted to operate the only open shop in the town of Vichy. The company has historically defended this period as a necessary tactic to keep the business alive. The brand survived its most dangerous era, but it did so through ruthless moral compromise, abandoning ethical stances to preserve the company at all costs. Decades later, the 1980s brought a new kind of threat, hostile corporate raiding. To raise defensive capital, Louis Vuitton's leadership took the century-old family business into the public markets. As an ultimate shield, they merged with the champagne and cognac producer Moët Hennessy. The strategy was to create a massive conglomerate, LVMH, so large and expensive that no outside raider could ever afford to swallow it. Almost immediately, the executives from the two sides turned on each other, launching a bitter internal battle for control of the new board. Looking for an advantage, Louis Vuitton's chairman, Henry Racamire, invited a wealthy property developer named Bernard Arnault into the fold, hoping to use him as an ally to win the boardroom war. Instead of helping Racamire, Arnault sprang a trap. He exploited the infighting by secretly buying up a controlling interest of LVMH shares right out from under both feuding families. Racamire took Arnault to court, but the legal maneuvers failed. The courts ruled in Arnault's favor, and the Vuitton family was permanently stripped of their power and exiled from the very brand they built. A family lineage that survived starvation, highway thieves, and a world war ultimately lost everything they had built to a ruthless boardroom technicality. Today, under Arnault's rule, Louis Vuitton operates as a massive financial engine. He uses its profits to aggressively acquire and consume 70 competing luxury brands. While the company's marketing relies heavily on the heritage of exclusive French handcraftsmanship, investigative reports have revealed a reliance on mass production and cheap outsourced labor in places like Romania. The push for endless growth has also drawn intense scrutiny, with animal rights organizations documenting brutal treatment of exotic animals at the tanneries supplying their leathers. Meanwhile, the corporation maintains its market dominance by weaponizing an army of lawyers and executing aggressive real estate lockouts to suffocate remaining competition. The current iteration of Louis Vuitton represents a 150-year chain of survival, stretching from a lone teenager in the French woods to the clinical heights of a global corporate machine.